Bitcoin fixes everything. Bitcoin is a benefit to every governor, every mayor, every CEO, every product, every service. Everything can be improved by building Bitcoin into it. I think if we look at Bitcoin adoption at the individual level, probably one of the most exciting pieces of news that I've seen is the result of the crypto.com survey that just came out today. And that showed there to be 114 million individual holders of Bitcoin as of, I think, the end of June, maybe the end of May or June, in that range. And we're adding about 2 million more Bitcoin holders per week. So if you think about adding 2 million a week and breaking through 114 million, these are just incredible numbers. I pointed out that makes Bitcoin the most widely held financial asset in the world, in the history of the world, growing at the fastest rate. And that's just an extraordinary thing, right? You can't point to 114 million holders of any stock, any bond, any particular type of instrument in the same way that you see this with Bitcoin. I think that we're going to see this trend continue. And so all of these things are good for Bitcoin. If we add the last observation, which is, I think it's becoming clear that Bitcoin is here to stay based upon mainstream media coverage, and more regulators are taking an interest in Bitcoin. I interpret it as a positive. I think there is an enthusiasm and an awareness that we need to support crypto and Bitcoin in the regulatory frameworks throughout the Western world. And I think that that's going to drive a lot of constructive activity and constructive dialogue, which is going to institutionalize this asset class even further. And as we make more progress with regard to all of these developments, I think that institutional investors get more comfortable holding Bitcoin. And as they get more comfortable holding Bitcoin, I think it's only good for the asset. Strategy is to focus upon Bitcoin. We think that Bitcoin is digital property, and digital property, in our opinion, is the most compelling technical opportunity of the decade. Digital property means that 8 billion people with a mobile phone can carry their property around on a mobile phone. Digital property is $1 trillion opportunity for Apple, for Google, for Facebook, right? For Amazon. Digital property is the solution to the cybersecurity problem and the trust problem across billions and billions of people. Digital property is going to allow 100 million companies to trade with each other on an open protocol at the speed of light. And so Bitcoin is a compelling solution, if not the compelling solution. The other crypto assets and digital assets have their own places. After digital property, you've got digital currency, but digital currencies aren't really an investment strategy. They're really just a medium of exchange in the crypto universe. So holding digital currency is just like holding US dollars. It's not a strategy for investment. Then you have digital platforms like Ethereum, and you have digital applications like the decentralized exchange Uniswap or something on top of Ethereum. Those are different businesses, but they are in essence businesses that have to compete in a market, and you have to consider the digital currencies are competing against existing currencies. The platforms, the decentralized platforms, are competing against centralized platforms. The decentralized applications are competing against centralized applications. When I look at all those, I think there's competitive risk, there's technical risk, there's regulatory risk, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of moving parts, and they're completely different businesses. Just because one is involved in Bitcoin doesn't mean that it makes sense to consider the other crypto assets. So we don't have any intention to get involved with other digital assets or other crypto assets. We're going to stay focused. I guess I'll make one more point here. There are two ways to see the world. If you look at the evolution of the crypto economy, and if you ask, what's the crypto opportunity? One way to see the world is, I take Bitcoin, I create digital property, and I plug it into Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google. I plug it into every insurance offering. I plug it into every mutual fund, into Fidelity, into BlackRock, into PIMCO. I plug it into every product, every device, every service, every operating system. I plug it into iOS, and I plug it into Android, and I plug it into Windows. I plug it into the cloud. I plug it into AWS. I plug it into Azure. You see, I can plug the Bitcoin digital property into the entire traditional economy, all of it, and it makes everything better. In theory, if you're a big tech company and you plug into Bitcoin, you could generate $1 trillion of value just by plugging into Bitcoin. So that vision of the world is Bitcoin fixes everything. Bitcoin is a benefit to every governor, every mayor, every CEO, every product, every service. Everything can be improved by building Bitcoin into it. Right? That's one view of the world. That happens to be our view of the world. That by plugging this open protocol digital property into every corporation, every product, every service, and every government and every agency in the world, you're going to make them better. If you believe that, and you don't own a country, or you don't own a government, you don't own a product, you don't own Apple, you don't own Google, you don't own Facebook, you don't own everything, but you have some assets. You buy Bitcoin. You buy Bitcoin so that when Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google build Bitcoin into their product, then you're the beneficiary, because you can't afford to buy Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google, all of them. That's one view of the world. The other view of the world is the innovation is going to come by creating other crypto asset networks, all these other cryptos, and by innovating in that decentralized area. We don't happen to believe that, right? Our belief is that the extraordinary value creation activity or opportunity comes simply by plugging Bitcoin into your balance sheet. If the city of New York raises $1 billion and buys Bitcoin, it fixes the balance sheet of the city of New York, and it happens overnight, and it happens not with any more technical innovation. It happens through financial integration. So that's why we pursue the strategy we pursue. It's a property strategy. If there are compelling platforms and applications in the crypto universe that manage to build on top of Bitcoin, then they will benefit, and Bitcoin will benefit. And if there are compelling applications in the traditional CeFi world, traditional banks, traditional governments, and then big tech companies, then Bitcoin will still benefit. We don't wish to express a general opinion or take an investment risk with regard to which platform, which application, and which use case of Bitcoin will be most successful. We think that the least risky, most diversified investment strategy is to simply hold Bitcoin. And I know that sounds complicated. People think you should diversify to decrease risk. Well, we believe we are diversified because as long as we hold the Bitcoin, any of 100,000 other corporations or 100,000 other technologies that use the Bitcoin will benefit our investment strategy. And so that's why we do what we do.